be nice if you could tell if you are going to succeed with something or not before you actually start with it. Is there a way to know if you're going to succeed or not? I can tell you that there is. And it doesn't matter what it is that you are trying to do. The success or outcome of your relationships, the outcome of your job, your family, your hobby, a new habit. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Because there is a way to tell if the outcome that you are looking for will be met, if it will be disappointing, destructive, or exceed your wildest expectations. And in order to explain this a little bit better, I want to tell you a little bit about my life and how I came to the realization of this. So I got started on my first business when I was 22 years old. And for 2 or 3 years I was working very hard on my business. But I never achieved the sort of success that I thought that I eventually would. And my business that seemed like a great idea and was pretty much my everything for a couple of years eventually led me to become very sick and just feel very lost. The outcome of that business was very negative for me. It even became destructive. Now we're all pursuing something. It could be big things like starting a business as I did, a new relationship, or smaller things like learning something new. So why do we do it? Why did I start my business? I'll get to that in a second. But it's going to vary a lot from person to person. And here is a small spoiler. The reason behind why you do it will shape the outcome of it. There is also one thing that we share in common. We hope that achieving this thing, or that thing, will at the end of some period change our lives for the better. Maybe even right away. If I work out, I will look better and I will feel better. The best outcome of a relationship is love and deep connection. Perhaps. It's about what the thing can do to us that matters, right? If I get that job, the best outcome is that I'm fulfilled, I'm passionate, and I'm making a lot of money. So it goes without saying that the result is very important. We want the outcome to be amazing, or more specifically, make us feel amazing. But sometimes these things don't play out in the way that we planned. For some, it seems like it always goes wrong sooner or later. As for me, eventually my business failed, and all of my efforts led me to become very sick and feel lost for a very long time. For many people, perhaps relationships that seemed like a good idea was not a good idea, but instead led to perhaps abuse or mental pain or something really horrible down the line. So how come some fail when others who did the exact same thing, walked in the same footsteps, had massive success instead? I have come to understand why, and I already hinted at the answer. It's gonna come down to why you do it. But understanding why you do it can be very hard, because it's so often not why you think that you do it. Because you see, your action, the things that you do, is part of an unconscious drive, created from the experiences of your past that is very subtle, very much outside of your conscious awareness and very much controlling the outcome of everything that you do in your life. Because you see, we're all operating out of an emotional state of being. We all have one that is conditioned into our core as a person. And it is formed and set by the memories and the things that we experienced. That is now stored into the unconscious brain, the memory bank that we are operating from at every single moment of our lives. Our past. An emotion leads to action. It leads to reaction. It leads to thoughts. Those crucial things that we use to navigate our lives at every single step. That sooner or later always leads us to an outcome. I'm going to try and make this as simple as I possibly can, with my business as an example. So I found myself in a lot of pain after some years for the reason that I was creating my business out of the negative intention of fear. That is where I was operating from for a long time. And I had no fucking idea. But looking back at the outcome and what I've now learned, it makes perfect sense. The outcome will tell you all that you need to know about the intention or your emotional state that came before it, because it is now reflected in it. Because you don't get what you want, you don't get what you need. You get what you are. And I was driven by my need to prove myself because I didn't feel good enough. I was a person that was not good enough. That is who I was. I wanted to achieve perfection because it hurt to feel imperfect. And I was afraid. And so with this negative intention driving my way forward, I soon found myself with a very negative outcome. Now, I was also afraid to make the wrong choices. I was afraid that maybe this is not what I should be doing. Afraid that this thing is not right for me. It was a constant, unconscious thought process that I never even understood that I had. Because it was so ingrained in my programming, and I was so used to it that I never even questioned it, or ever even considered that it was something that led me to a lot of pain. I was afraid to make mistakes because I had done some in my past. Nothing major, but big enough for me to make a big deal out of it, and wire in a negative emotional state of being, of fear and regret that was now constantly engaging my thoughts and my entire personality. My actions, the energy that I used to create my business was built upon that foundation that eventually led me to where I got. Now, these are just two examples of some of the many unconscious drivers that I had myself for a long time that eventually led me to the outcome, right? And I'm not afraid or ashamed to share this, because I see it in everybody. We all have these things that keeps us from being where we really want to be, from experiencing a place that we really want to experience. You see, your intention is the key to success. Success does not sit in something or some person out there or some job out there or whatever you might think that it is. But it can be reflected in those things. But by themselves, they are just neutral. This is something that was a big realization for me. That I can't do the wrong or right thing. There is no wrong or right out there. What goes on within you is going to make the thing that you are attempting to do right or wrong for you specifically. There was nothing wrong with my business, even though it made me suffer. The wrong sat in my intention. Are you starting a war to kill Jews, or are you starting a war to end the killing of Jews? You see, war is a neutral thing, even though a lot of people seem to think that it's only bad. Now, it can be amazing with the right intention, or it can be so horrible with the wrong one. The intention is all that matters, which slowly builds you up to the outcome in everything that you do. The reason that you didn't succeed where others did is because of the intention that you had, that you used to guide yourself forward and lead the way. It's those small moments of self-sabotage, of making a wrong decision because you're afraid to stand up a little bit in a moment where you were supposed to. A moment of reacting in a way that was detrimental to the outcome that you were looking for. A little small moment of not speaking up when you should have. A little moment of stepping out of your comfort zone when you were supposed to in order to reach that goal, but you didn't because you held back. But you can operate from a much more powerful state of being, which comes about as you heal these old aspects in your unconscious and integrate them back into who you are. Like I had to do myself as well. That changes your emotional state. And so the intention fueling your next move from now on, your personality, your decisions, is no longer influenced by fear or pain from your past. And so your outcome starts to become positive as well, as you start to feel completely different and make completely different choices as your intention begins to change. You know, sometimes in my past I would look at people and I would think that for some it just seems so goddamn easy. But now I've come to learn that it never really is easy. For too long anyway. Now life is always going to present challenges. But it is easier for a lot of people. Because they are in flow with life. They are not in resistance. Such as I am. Such as so many of you are out there. Because you know life can flow. Even if it can be hard to believe it. Because just like it was for me, you are not used to it either. I know all about it. But things can come about easy. Life can actually flow in your favor. It doesn't have to be a struggle. And if it seems like it always is a struggle for you, always some friction that keeps coming back. Maybe it feels like you can't change or that you are stuck. Well, now you know why that is. In order to understand where you are going in your life, if you are going to find success or not, lies in your ability to understand your intention. And that requires you to go within yourself. If you want to know more about these sort of things and how to make a change just like this in your life, then make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you very soon in my next video.